You're listening to They Shoot Films with Ken Mercer and F.T. Kosempa.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of They Shoot Films. My name is Ken Mercer, and I'm joined here, as always, by the great F.T. Kosempa. F.T., how's it going?
It's going well, Ken. How you doing?
Relieved that things are going well for you. I worry about you, and
me too.
I've had a rough ride here. For the audience, first of all, I should say this is part 2 of a special 2-part episode on Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. If you're joining us and have not listened to part 1, which is the episode immediately preceding this one, would highly recommend you listen to that one first. But it is a free country, at least ostensibly free country. But this is part 2 of Vertigo, and just because we believe in honesty here at They Shoot Films, do we not, FT?
We do, with a passion.
Because of our honesty is the best policy.
You liar.
we need to disclose part 2 is actually not recorded. It wasn't like we recorded the whole thing and chopped it in 2. We recorded part 1 10 days ago, and now 10 days later we're back in the studio for part 2, which you're now listening to. And man, it's been a long 10 days for me, FT. What about you?
Same here. Here. With the time change, it just feels longer, colder, darker.
Yeah, I think actually with the time change, it's shorter, actually, but isn't it?
No, it's longer.
But yeah, a lot has happened to the country. When we recorded the last podcast, the government was shut down because we needed to fix our healthcare system, and now the government is open, and we need to fix our healthcare system. And but a lot's gone on in my personal life. It's felt like a lot more than 10 days. But it's got me thinking. I feel like I'm in a totally different place than we were 10 days ago. Yet the film, Vertigo,
is in the same place.
Yeah, no, it's the same.
Right, of course.
And that is really kind of what makes films great, and especially this film, as we got into in part 1. We talked about how Vertigo is a film, every time you watch it, you can take something else away from it. And great films work that way. And so I feel like I'm a different person than I was the last time when I watched Vertigo for the last episode. But Vertigo is the same film.
Yes. It's a miracle. Is what it is. That the molecules of the film, actually, it's not the same film.
You're talking
because the atmosphere has changed. But anyhow,
but that is the miracle of digital restorations. Is yes, those films were fading away, and a lot of films still are fading away by the second, thanks to the restoration and transfer to digital. It should be in the same state forever, as long as the digital masters don't get destroyed.
No, I don't want to be transferred to digital as a human. How about you, buddy?
I think there might be some pluses to it. In my case, my back would be better.
Depends. The parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we dive into part 2 of Alfred Hitchcock's film Vertigo?
I prefer to fall into it.
Yes. Why don't we pick up? I think a good place to pick up with it, and one of the things that makes this film so fantastic is just Hitchcock just somehow crammed it with just so many motifs, symbols, recurrences, mirror. I mean, it's jam packed with them. Yet the film still works. And we talked about Citizen Kane last episode in reference to Vertigo, and we're comparing them. Kane works the same way in that Wells was really going, trying to cram every, just on fire with these cinematic inventions and devices that the film brims with. Citizen Kane succeeds as a film, even though I feel like Citizen Kane does kind of wear its tricks more openly, whereas Vertigo has all these. You can just watch the film and not notice any of them, but the more times you watch them, you see more and more of these things that Hitchcock packed in there. I don't think they stick out of the film as much as they do in Kane. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Except the obvious, his attempt to show the experience of vertigo, with that
right.
The stairwell. I mean, that's one of the obvious things, and
yes,
and it sort of works, but there are other subtle camera tricks for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not. You're right, and sorry, so clearly Vertigo has way less cinematic trickery than Kane, but I think it has a lot more, again, symbols, motifs, mirrors, all these things has a lot more of that. I'm glad you brought up the camera technique. We said at the intro to part one that we were going to try not to touch on kind of the well-trodden discussions of Vertigo. And so that was not something we touched on, was the camera technique, but just to spell it out real quick, since you brought it up, that has become known as the Vertigo technique, where the camera is on a dolly and pulls back while a zoom lens is zoomed in, which I think Hitchcock invented that in this film. Do you think, have you seen it?
I've never seen it before.
Yeah,
I've never seen it before.
So he invented that technique.
Oh, wait, well, maybe Cocteau. No, it's a different situation. He would have his actors walk backwards, and he would then project them forward. So there's a there's a weird similarity there, but
but not
like that. It wasn't this. It wasn't this. No,
right.
No.
You don't get the distortions of the zoom with the, you get this really weird effect at the edges of the screen when you're pulling back and zooming in so fast. So that became known as the Vertigo technique, and a lot of other filmmakers have paid homage or reused it. Can you name any, FT?
Marty.
Yeah.
Marty. Oh, Marty.
Go ahead.
I forget which one is that. That's in...
Marty Scorsese uses this Vertigo technique, and you can really see it in his film Goodfellas. There's a scene in a diner with Ray Liotta and Robert De Niro, and there's a window in the background of the frame, and he pulls back and zooms in, and it's the Vertigo effect reborn. But you'll see it in other things as well. But that is the Vertigo effect. But we were talking about, before we so rudely interrupted ourselves, we were talking about the motifs and spirals. Well, let's start with motifs in this film. FT, name some of the motifs that you noticed in the film Vertigo.
I don't know what you mean by a motif. I can, you just said
give me
spirals.
An M, give me an O, give me a T. Well, so here you go.
Mirrors.
You said, I don't know what you mean by motifs.
Reflections.
Like spiral. You said spiral. Yeah, so spirals
you just said
is one
spirals.
of the motifs.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear you're listening.
But where's the spirals except in the dream sequence? Help me out there.
Well, it's
her hair, the hair. The hair is a spiral.
Yeah. Yes. So sorry. Let's start with spirals, circles. Good one, FT. You're both asking and answering your own questions here. So you've become very self-sufficient.
That's right. Survivalist podcast.
All right. So here are some spirals or circles, and you name some of them. Madeline's hairstyle, which is Carlotta's hairstyle.
Yes.
Is circular. The bouquet she carries around is circular. The staircase, as in the tower, as shot from above in a shot looking down, is a spiral. No,
it isn't.
Okay, no, it's a circular. It's okay, it's not a round circle.
It's a square circle.
No,
Hitchcock's a genius.
No, it's what. Did you ever study geometry after?
Once.
Yeah, so it's what the geometrists call a non-round circle.
Right. A circle without a radius.
Yes. So it's about these patterns that are these circular or contained patterns. So you look down at the staircase in the tower, you see it. That's echoed in Carlotta's necklace, the shape of that necklace. It's interesting. I mean, he does it so much that even in the scene where Scotty follows Madeline through the streets of San Francisco, if you remember, just pay attention. She turns left, then she turns right. Then she turns left. Then she turns right. If you look at the street signs, map it out. They start at the Brockle Bank Apartments, which still exist in San Francisco and Nob Hill. So put that on your map, and then basically look at the streets and the lefts and rights. Draw it out on the map, and you're left with this same square, closed
circle.
Thing. Exactly. The whole film is circular, and we're going to get into the deleted ending a little bit later. There was a different ending in the first releases of Vertigo. Right. But even without that ending, I could argue that the film begins where it ends, which is Scotty looking down at the abyss, which is where it begins with him on the gutter looking down into the abyss. In the print we have today, he looks down into the abyss after Judy has plunged to her death. But it's interesting, even in the deleted ending, which we'll discuss, the film starts to repeat again, because if you remember the structure of the film we have now, it starts with somebody falling from a height, right? And it's the policeman.
Yes.
And then we cut to a scene in Midge's apartment. And the end scene, which is deleted, is back in Midge's apartment. So it's almost like the film starts running again. You go from a fall from a high place and then back to Midge and Scotty in her apartment.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about that, because I know nothing about it, because it will solve a question I have, or at least it will address a question I have. Yeah, go ahead. There's one bit about circles. There's even a camera movement that's a circle, by the way.
Yes, thank you, FT.
That's the one where after the big lovey-dovey scene, where she appears finally, when Judy appears finally in full Madeline regalia with all the green light, and they embrace, with the Wagnerian, with Bernard Herrmann's fantastically emotional score for a person like Hitchcock. Pretty amazing. But there's a weird thing. The background starts moving in a circular way from the apartment to the stable.
Yes.
And then back to the apartment.
Yes.
But also the camera moves only half the time. It is also moving in a circle. Unlike now, everybody goes crazy about 360s going around the whole couple. It stops beautifully.
Yes.
But where it stops is where Scotty has that very strange look. Is it memory or is it premonition? It's an odd, interesting shot, which, you know what? I really didn't notice until the last time I looked at it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I noticed it, but it didn't affect me. You know what I mean? I didn't pause the whole thing and go like, wait a second, look at that. Look, he's not thrilled right now. But anyhow, the camera move was tricky, and it's not cliched, and it was sophisticated. Yeah. Circular.
So again, what we're talking about circles, and I'm glad you brought this up, because this is now, everything starts moving in circles. How do you think he did that camera move?
The rear projection was a pan, probably as rear projection.
Okay.
I think they might be on a platform.
Yes.
The camera's not moving. The camera's not moving at all.
I thought they were on a platform turning in circles.
Well, turning to a half circle.
Right.
The camera's... That's the nice thing, where the background keeps moving then,
Yes.
Yes.
And so that is just such an amazing part. Again, the circular, everything moving in circles motif. Now the characters are rotating in circles. The world is moving in circles. But what happens in that shot is time, which is so much of this film, the past, the present, interacting. As they turn, we're going from the present, which is Scotty kissing
Judy, dressed as...
I call at this point of the film, I would call her Judy/Madeline, because it's Judy who's now Madeline, and so so Scotty's kissing Judy/Madeline,
right?
And as it rotates, we get back to the past. We get back to the stables at San Juan Bautista where Scotty was kissing
Madeline / Judy.
Right. And then it keeps rotating, and then he's back to the present, and it's almost like at that point in the kiss, and the way Bernard Herrmann's music works, it's almost like now he's kissing Madeline in the Empire Hotel. It's really pretty masterful, and
it is.
It brings to mind a saying which was made famous by Russ Cole in the show True Detective. What was that quote?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Okay.
No, tell me.
So, audience, please pay attention here because this is the cross I must bear with FT. He's saying he doesn't know, and then I will say what he doesn't know. And I knew that. Okay. Yes, Russ Cole in the film True Detective says, "Time is a flat circle." Really? You don't remember that?
No.
Okay.
Time is a flat circle. I mean, I don't understand. I do now recall it, but it didn't impress me. It didn't impress me.
It didn't impress you.
Cross the bear.
And that's
crucified.
Yes. And it didn't impress you, FT, because I have two hypotheses why it didn't impress you.
Why is that? Because time is not a flat circle?
No. Hypothesis A is because I guess it's really only one hypothesis.
It's two in the form of one.
It's really only one hypothesis.
Make up your mind.
Because you were a philosophy student, you just have blocked out all your you're blocking out your philosophical learnings. Because after all,
too painful on this show.
After all, if you did stop for a minute to ponder the quote, "Time is a flat circle," what memories does that jar from your philosophical training?
None right now. What? Which one?
Have you ever heard of someone named a philosopher named Nietzsche?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of his theory, a doctrine of eternal recurrence?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, time is a flat circle is basically came out of Nietzsche and
Nietzsche said that though. It's in Nietzsche's writings.
No, but it was the idea of time as a flat circle comes out of Nietzsche's eternal recurrence thing, which is basically, and he framed it as kind of a thought experiment, which was. If you had to relive every moment of your life, good and bad, over and over again for eternity,
eternal recurrence of the same,
how would you feel? And, it was kind of a thought experiment to evaluate your life as it was and what you might change in the future. But I didn't know it actually, this idea that time is that events just reoccur over and over actually came from the Stoics, which, again, I thought you were a big fan of the Stoics, as I recall.
Yes.
Yeah, so it actually came out of Stoicism and was around for a long time before Nietzsche. But as I was reading about it actually, with Christianity, it became a big Christianity was very opposed to the idea of eternal recurrence. Anyway, we're probably going a little far afield here, but this film is so much about time moving. Obviously, these recurrences: woman dies, comes back to life. He's following one woman, he's following another woman, and all these mirrors. Let's jump to mirrors. Let's jump to repetitions that you see in the film. We can call them mirrors. We can call them repetitions. What can you recall in that vein, FT?
Well, literally. Mirrors.
Yes.
Yes,
there's a lot of mirrors, correct.
There's a lot of mirrors.
Yes.
There's
But let's hold mirrors for a second, and since we're coming off to time repetition, let's just stick with repetition. Echoes, repetitions.
That's what I was talking about. There's a repetition of mirrors. That there are cases of there's Madeline in the florist shop walking up to a mirror. Then there's Judy in the department store walking over to a mirror. But some of the more obvious ones are after Madeline takes her plunge into the bay, she walks out of the door in a red bathrobe.
Yes,
that's repeated in the scene we were speaking of before, where Madeline.
Comes out of the bathroom.
Comes out dressed as Madeline, in the green light. So that's an absolute repetition. The windows, Madeline appearing in the window of the McKittrick Hotel.
Yes.
Judy appears in the window of her apartment.
No, the window of the Empire Hotel.
Oh, Empire Hotel.
Yeah,
correct.
And what's interesting, again, these are not haphazard.
No.
The camera angles on both of those shots. So Scotty is, again, you have the same Scotty character following one woman looking up with the same camera angle as Madeline pulls open a shade at the McKittrick Hotel, and then later the same guy, Scotty, looking up at the Empire Hotel, same angle, while when Judy opens a window shade. So,
Judy. Yes.
Good ones.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, there was an interesting one that when Scott, early on, second scene, when Scotty does say, I look up, I look down, and he falls off miraculously off that step stool, miraculously into Midge's arms.
Yes.
His head's in a certain position as she's cradling him. Later on, right before Madeline at the
good one.
Yeah, what's
San Juan Bautista?
Yeah, there.
Yeah, good one.
After they hug and she says all that stuff like, "Will you love me even if I leave? If I'm not around."
Yes.
She appears in the same position in his arms.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's several.
I hadn't noticed that one, FT. That was a good one, and it's interesting because that look at San Juan Bautista, which when you watch the film, it's like. She cranks her head. It's such a weird, and her eyes pivot all the way to the side. Yeah. I had to watch the film many times before.
Stylized. Yeah.
No, it's not stylized.
Oh, it is.
It's not. But it took me 20 viewings to realize it's not stylized. Why does she pivot her head? Why does she pin her eyes to the side? What's going on there?
I have no idea.
She's looking up because she's like, I have to go.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, Gavin's up there waiting.
Yeah. She's looking up at Gavin in the tower with the dead corpse of his wife up there.
Right, but it appears very stylized because Scotty isn't.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Well, that's what's crazy. It appears stylized, but actually it's motivated by what's going on. And you obviously you can't know it the first time you watch the film, but it actually takes multiple views, at least for me, before I picked up on that. One last repetition, and there's probably a lot more. After he saves Madeline from the bay, he puts her before the fire in his apartment.
Right.
And then when he will later bring Judy back to his apartment, puts her in front of the fire in the same place.
Can I sneak one more in? The
sure,
drive.
Of course.
The drive.
All right.
There's a drive in the daytime, and that one, when you look at it, that one matches. You can cut those two together.
Oh.
Amazingly, easily. I'm imagining. You know what I mean? When he's driving Madeline for the first time to the, and then the second time when he's driving Judy at night and evening dusk. Yeah, they are.
Right.
And in a similar shot sequence too, up pan, shot of a low angle shot of the trees, back to them, but with very different moods, obviously, but yeah, there it is.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on?
Yes, indeed.
So the dream sequence.
Right.
What did we think of the dream sequence, FT?
Oh man. I'm sorry to the listening audience, but I really did not like it. I never liked it. I thought it was cheesy, cheap, terrible. For me, it almost wrecked the film. But I think, that's just, I didn't like it. Compared to what he did in Spellbound, for example, but he hired Dali to do that, Salvador Dali, he wanted that kind of thing. Compared to that sequence, it just doesn't do anything for me. I think it's cheap. Compared to what Cocteau did, what Bergman does in Wild Strawberries, it didn't work for me at all. I felt like an intrusion in it. I didn't understand what was going on. It didn't mean anything to me. Ken?
Yes, I'm here. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you to say something.
Say something good.
What do you think, Ken? Something like that.
Well, that's the way certain hosts will go. Ken.
Okay.
I wasn't just saying your name.
Yeah,
it's a boring dream sequence.
Okay. So
Ken.
you say you don't like it.
I dislike it.
Yes. And you're asking me what I think of it. Right?
Yes, of course. When I went Ken.
Well, you're putting me in a very awkward position because if I say I like it, then I'm in conflict with you and. I just was saying I never tell you I love you, and
love means always having to say you're sorry.
Yeah, I really like this dream sequence.
I can't believe it. Yeah, interesting. Tell me why.
Well, because I appreciate. So first of all,
because I appreciate good cinema.
No, I'm not a huge when I was a kid, I liked Dali, but I'm not a big Dali fan. Sorry, when we say Dali,
Salvador Dali,
Dali,
not hello Dali.
Yeah. Yes. So this dream sequence was commissioned by a famous abstract expressionist. Hitchcock went to John Ferren, and so I liked. Again, it's not. It's out there, and it's it's daring. It's expressionistic, and I love it. I would not love it without the music. I mean, the music, Bernard Herrmann's music with that dream sequence, to me is very entertaining to watch. Again, if you watch it with the use of colors, kind of spelling out the color key for the movie, it's fascinating to me. So I'm a fan. I'm going to put myself down. Hold on, we've got a chart here. Dream sequence, fan, non-fan. I'll put you down as a non-fan, FT.
Yes.
I'm going to put myself down as a fan. I can't even fit in. I'm trying to put myself down as a fan. There's no room. There's so many fans of the dream sequence.
Oh, my goodness. How about that?
Yeah.
Put a big check mark for me because my opinion matters a lot.
Yeah, it was easy for me to put in a big check mark for you on the non-fan side because nobody had, other than you, had been a non-fan.
It's lonely at the top, my friend. Lonely at the top. Ken,
go ahead.
In what way is it expressionistic? I don't know what you mean by expressionistic. Am I putting you on a terrible spot here? I don't get it. I mean, in film, it's usually associated with black and white, strong shadows. Emerging out of German cinema.
Yeah, good question. And again, your role of co-host would typically not to be putting me in this position where I have.
But you do it with me all the time. Can you remember FT?
Yeah, so it definitely not expressionistic in the sense that it's used in German cinema.
Expressionism.
Yeah. So I guess what I was trying to get at, and again, I'm sitting here embarrassed, but I guess it's good that you're making me really think about what I'm trying to say. It ain't like it ain't like a real dream. I've never dreamed like that.
Never.
Yeah, so
it's not a dream sequence at all, in my opinion. But anyhow,
I guess really it's more like pop art or something, right?
Well, with this face in the middle, it's reminding me of a circus. When the weird strobing lights going by. With Jimmy Stewart's what do you call it? Not completely extracted face. Like a laughing. Nightmare scenes in carnivals, when I was a kid at the carnival. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
And so I don't know.
And by the way, let me just interrupt. I don't think any of these sequences that I even mentioned, the closest that I felt to some dreams I've had was Cocteau. Here and there, and they're just moments. They're not extended. They're mainly camera tricks. That's the closest I've ever personally felt to how my dreams will go. I mean,
that's the difficulty, if I may, FT. My dreams, and I don't want to speak for your dreams.
You can't.
But speaking for my dreams, they are like films.
Me too.
They're like cinema.
Yes.
They're very.
Yeah, me too.
So the difficulty for dream sequence. You're doing a film. You want a dream sequence. Really, the way to represent a dream, in my opinion, is film it like you would a film. But then it wouldn't be separated enough for a dream sequence. And so this one again is so non-realistic in terms of representing what dreams are like. And I guess that's what I misused the term I was trying to say non-real. Well, actually, so isn't expressionism in terms of art isn't kind of definitionally it means non-representational at some level?
Right, but that's the problem with this. It's too representational just because its syntax, is different. It's slapping together. It's a cross between pop art. Yeah. Maybe you would argue that, it's pop art emerging out of, abstract expressionism. Good luck, but, but I get the point. It's different. It expresses something, that's for damn sure, right?
Yes,
it's expressing.
That's exactly what I meant when I said expression.
Yes.
Right. I should have said it was express. But I guess we should tip our hat to Alfred Hitchcock, someone who is regarded as being a control freak. the fact that he was willing to collaborate with other visual artists like Salvador Dali, Saul Bass for titles.
Right.
And in this case, I mean, and this is, again, I'm trying to, come over to your side of the chart, the uncrowded side of the chart. If I was Alfred Hitchcock, right, and I was like, I need a dream sequence here, I'm commissioning this artist, and this came back, what Fern did, I think I probably would have said, what the fuck is this? I would have said no.
Yes.
But I think Hitchcock went with, and maybe by hiring John Fern, this abstract expressionist, he had this in mind, but for whatever reason, I think it's pretty amazing he went with it. I just love it. I just like watching it, and with the music, but I've already said
How about that? Yeah. Okay. Dreams.
Why don't we move on? We talked about Midge, the character, which and let's start to move into some of the specific scenes. We talked about Midge and that second scene, which we talked in episode part 1, which you definitely don't want to miss if you haven't listened to it yet, and worth listening to again over and over and over again, just like
repetition.
Remember, time is a flat circle, folks, so you might as well listen to our podcast on perpetual replay.
Eternal recurrence of the same, I believe, is the expression.
Yeah.
From Fritz. Anyhow, yes.
So in part 1 of this 2-part episode, we talked about the contrast between these poetic, transcendent scenes, especially when Scotty's following Madeline around, to these kind of mundane expository scenes that lay out the mechanics of the story. And it's interesting because that pattern is set up right from the beginning of this film.
Yes.
We go from this very dramatic scene of this rooftop chase, which, as FT stated in the first episode, is not really realistic how Scotty ever got out of hanging off this gutter, and that's where the Vertigo camera technique is first introduced, to this very commonplace scene that could come out of any romantic comedy. Jimmy Stewart in an easy chair, twirling, trying to balance this cane on his fingertip, while his female companion is working on lingerie drawings so they can get into some, racy for 1950s dialogue about corsets and lingerie. And
aerospace engineers.
Yeah, and this banter back and forth.
Oh, Johnny-O. Well, what do you do?
Well, I'm not going to do anything for a while. Don't forget, I'm a man of independent means, as the saying goes. Fairly independent.
Mm-hmm. Well, why don't you go away for a while?
You mean to forget? Oh, no, Midge, don't be so motherly. I'm not going to crack up.
Have you had any dizzy spells this week?
I'm having one right now. Midge, the music, don't you think it's sort of,
Oh.
What's this doohickey?
It's a brassiere. You know about those things. You're a big boy now.
I'll just kick this off by saying Midge was purely an invention of Hitchcock and the writers, i.e. she was not in the source material, the novel, From Amongst the Dead. So this was important for Hitchcock and the writers to have this Midge character.
Yes.
What do you think of the Midge character, FT, in your own words?
In other words, I'm not allowed to quote something in somebody else's words. What do I think of the Midge character? I don't know what you're driving at. My guess is people are going to, the feeling I get is they say, oh, it's the mother figure, that she mothers him and all that stuff, But it's also the ex-girlfriend, it's there wasn't a sexual spark between them. They talk about being in college. Weren't they briefly engaged? Yes.
Yes, for a couple of weeks.
Right. But the usual thing is like she's so motherly without being matronly. It's Barbara Bel Geddes, right? Is that who? Yeah, that's who it is.
Yes.
Yeah. I like her. She's a great actress too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you thinking with this?
Well, she plays a very specific role,
yes.
and you kind of touched on it. She, again, she's always in yellow. The apartment. She's she's
she's my sister. She's my mother.
Yeah, exactly. She's the common sense, good solid choice for Scotty. But Scotty wants to chase after the woman of his dreams, literally and figuratively, in Madeline Judy. There was a quote that was popular in the 1950s when this film was made. Do you know what quote I'm referring to, FT, in regards to Midge?
No, I have no idea.
See if this rings a bell.
Should I know it?
Well,
wait, can you predict that I know it?
Yes, I will predict you know it.
Okay.
So here's the quote apropos of Midge. Again, it was a big quote back when this film was made. Men don't make passes at women who wear glasses.
I would. Right. The whole thing about glasses.
Yeah. So,
oh boy.
She was set up to be not the.
Right.
And
that's stupid, but
There was another, I think, interesting thing we should point out with Midge in this film. I think Midge in this film influenced a latter-day director, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes.
And if you watch the film carefully, Midge is working on a painting. Midge becomes jealous of this woman that Scotty is chasing after. She follows him around, sees a woman coming out of the apartment, and so she thinks she's going to play a little prank on Scotty, her college friend.
Yes.
They have that kind of relationship, so she thinks it's going to be funny and makes a painting just like the painting
a portrait, right?
Portrait of Carlotta, and painted her own face in place of Carlotta, unveils it to Jimmy Stewart, and Jimmy Stewart does not find it funny at all and ends up leaving. And then Midge goes crazy, stupid, and totally berates herself. If you watch the Paul Thomas Anderson film Boogie Nights, watch the scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman playing Scotty after he shows Mark Wahlberg's character, Dirk Diggler. Scotty shows off his car.
His penis car.
What's that?
His penis car.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And then Scotty gets up the nerve to kiss Dirk Diggler, the objects of his affections.
Yes.
And much like Midge is turned down in this film.
Yes.
Scotty is rejected by Dirk Diggler, and then Scotty basically has the same reaction as Barbara Bel Geddes.
Yep. Yes.
Watch
stupid. Right.
Yeah, watch
it's amazing. It's
Check
amazing.
it out. Directors talking to each other across the generations, conversing through their films.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Let's jump ahead. Another scene I just wanted to talk about was the scene, and we can just talk about it briefly. I just think it deserves acknowledgement. After Scotty rescues Madeline from the bay.
Oh, boy,
First of all, I'd like to say, after she emerges from his bedroom and they sit by the fire, I think her performance there is fantastic. Again, she's got to work on multiple levels as Madeline at this point, and she succeeds, I think, brilliantly.
Yes.
And I think the chemistry between them, especially coming from Alfred Hitchcock, who's not really he's not really known as a director of love stories.
Right.
I think the romance between, and again, hats off to the writers, Bernard Herrmann. I think it works fantastically.
Me too.
It's
you're talking about when she's sitting by the fire.
Yes.
And there's all those separations, right? Yeah.
Again, for Hitchcock, who is not known for his love stories as Ernst Lubitsch was, I think Hitchcock definitely pulled off the Lubitsch idea of a meet cute. I mean, what could be more of a meet cute than a woman throwing herself into San Francisco Bay and you taking her back to an apartment? What a meet cute.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, so that was Lubitsch's thing, for all his love stories, romances. The male and the female character are always, the meeting is always a meet. Some unique bumping into each other that's interesting. How they connect
situation.
He would call it a meet cute. And not M-E-A-T, but M-E-E-T.
Yes, M-E-E-T, right.
Yes.
Probably something in German.
Let's though talk about before that that dialogue scene, which we both, I think, are in agreement that we admire.
And I also admire, again, for the way it's shot. I want everybody to look at that thing because, he does not rely a great deal on two shots or long shots. A lot of it is done with motion. It's brilliantly shot and edited. I just wanted to get that note in. It's one of my favorite scenes.
Yes. Billy Friedkin said, everything you want to know about how to direct is in Hitchcock's films. And maybe he was specifically talking about Vertigo, but I mean all the scenes, even the first scene with Gavin Elster, very expository scene. Look at how that scene is blocked and shot. It's masterful.
Yeah,
with Scotty moving to two levels, and it's anyway. Coming back to this scene, before she joins him in front of the fire in a red robe. Right. Danger,
love
in front of the fire. She's in his bed, and he rescued her, and she finds out, discovers, or maybe fake discovers, that he has stripped off her clothes,
undressed her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, no, to undress her, he stripped off her clothes. Let's not beat around the bush here, FT.
Hey, watch it. That's a bad pun. That's bad.
So it's interesting. I talked in part one about watching this film at the San Francisco Symphony, with the symphony performing live and with women behind me groaning at all the obvious, easy places to groan about, Scotty, telling her how to do her hair. Scotty, they didn't groan at this scene, which, well, let me ask you, FT, is it not problematic that a man takes a unconscious woman back to his apartment and strips her naked?
Well, the way you put it, strips her naked. How about he gets her out of wet clothes so she doesn't, freeze to death?
Good. Okay.
I mean, I do believe there's an issue there, but he does, he's doing it. I think for me, that was one of the most adult scenes in the 1950s films, that he was able to do that. Hitchcock pulled that off without it being lascivious, But you do have a point when you raise it, right?
Yes, and my point is I wanted to go back, and I pulled up the California Penal Code,
right?
And the bottom line is it's never been legal. It's considered sexual assault to have a unconscious person and undress them. It would be considered sexual assault, even then.
Right. The only problem is that there's a deletion there that we don't know if she was unconscious, but it certainly seems that way. I mean,
yes.
But one could argue she wasn't totally. She was, woozy and helped him a little bit get out of the clothing, but that's not the effect. I agree with you. The effect is that, he undressed her and made her comfortable.
Again, it's beyond the effect. It's the intent of the film to communicate that, because she wakes up and she doesn't say, "Oh yeah, thanks again for undressing me." She clearly is like looking around and saying, "Where are my friggin' clothes?" So that's the intent of the film to communicate. She was not aware that she had been undressed until she wakes up. And again, if you're thinking of trying this, if you're listening to our podcast and thinking you're going to go driving around bays looking for drowning women so that you can take them back to your apartment and strip them naked, it's not legal. Don't do it.
What the fuck?
What?
of all the warning signs. Jesus.
Well, I don't want to.
You heard that? Not just you kids out there.
FT. I want to know it, because that's the thing. Like,
it's a public service. You're doing a public service.
Yeah, filmmakers make violent movies, and then people go out and do kill people, and I don't want to. I don't want to be responsible for that, and I also don't want people to be responsible for watching Vertigo and thinking it's not okay. It's not okay. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
But it is, to your coming back to your earlier point, you admired that Hitchcock was able to do it. It seemed adult for a 1950s film. And so let's if we can, since I did give full warning here, don't do this. Now we can just go ahead and discuss it as it is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't want people to hear the podcast and think we were, being lascivious. Let's say. So the scene is the stripping, which you don't like me saying the word, the undressing. The undressing is important because it adds so much tension to what comes later, where we started out when they sit in the living room. The situation is so charged between them because she's in this robe and he has seen her naked. And she knows that he's seen her naked, so it adds this sexual tension.
When you, there was some pins in my hair.
Oh, the pins, yeah, right in here. I'll get them for you.
And my purse, please.
Here you are.
Thank you. You shouldn't have brought me here, you know.
Well, I didn't know where you lived.
You could have looked in my car. Oh, but then you didn't know my car, did you?
No, I knew which one it was. It's right outside here now, but I didn't think you wanted to be taken home that way.
No, you're right. I'm glad you didn't take me home. I wouldn't have known you. Thank you. Oh, but I don't know you, and you don't know me. My name is Madeline Elster.
My name's John Ferguson.
Good, strong name. Do your friends call you John or Jack?
Oh, John, mostly. Old friends call me John. Acquaintances call me Scotty.
I shall call you Mr. Ferguson.
Oh, gee whiz, I wouldn't like that. Oh, no. And after what happened this afternoon, I should think maybe you'd call me Scotty. Maybe even John.
Well, I prefer John. There, that's done. And what do you do, John?
Well, just wander about.
Well, that's a good occupation. And you live here alone? One shouldn't live alone.
Some people prefer it, you know.
No, it's wrong. I married you now.
And it's interesting, you talked about earlier, FT, how Hitch loves to play his games, which he's playing here. And did you notice, and also is telegraphing exactly what he's trying to say about Scotty and naked women. Did you pick up on Hitchcock's game and what he's trying to telegraph here?
No.
Okay. So let's see if you did and you just haven't processed it yet. There's a shot so Scotty is sitting there waiting, in the living room before she wakes up, and he goes in and he's reading magazines, and the magazine, at least we can see that there's a magazine on top of a stack of magazines. What is that magazine?
I don't know.
I'm not making this up. It's Swank magazine, which was a men's pinup magazine.
Come on.
I'm not kidding. Go look at the film.
He snuck that in?
Yeah. So, and again, telegraphing that Scotty has, Scotty's into naked women. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And now he's got a naked woman in his apartment. So Hitch is playing his games. He's setting this whole thing up. But it's time for another trivia question.
Ding, 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 ding.
FT.
Yes.
What was the sister publication of Stag? And sister doesn't mean it was like Playgirl. It was another men's pinup magazine. There was Swank, and there was another publication from the same publisher. Do you know what that was?
The little slip you made before, Stag.
Oh, did I give it up?
Yeah, you already said it.
Damn it.
Ding, 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 ding.
I did that because I'm your friend. I wanted to make you look.
I know. You wanted to.
You should have just done it and not said that I'd given it away.
I'm not that kind of a person, man. I'm an honest guy.
Now let's wrap a trivia
burrito
question
around the
inside a historical pop culture note.
Popcorn note, yes.
The original name for Playboy magazine was Stag Party. That was what Playboy magazine was originally called.
Stag Party.
Yeah, and the publisher of Stag magazine, also the publisher of Swank magazine, sued Playboy for trademark infringement. And Hugh Hefner then changed his name to Playboy magazine, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yes.
This is the kind of things, folks, you don't get on other podcasts.
Put on your ascots.
This is why you don't want to miss a single episode of They Shoot Films. Make sure you've hit subscribe, or you're going to miss out on gems.
You're going to be in big trouble, man.
Shall we move on?
Do all Playboys wear ascots?
I think so.
When I was a kid, I thought so.
Yeah.
Did you go through an ascot period?
Oh, there's pictures of me when I was 7 with right. So I had my robe on, and it was ridiculous. So I had a cowboy robe with a silk ascot and a corncob pipe and a Daniel Boone, coonskin hat. That was my preferred attire.
Tasteful as always.
Well, yeah, eccentric though. Blending various.
Thank you. Yes. That's the other eccentric.
Yes,
a sailor's hat would have been a little more eccentric. Yes, yes, and duck's feet.
Speaking of that,
duck's feet.
Anyway, let's get back to this film, Vertigo, shall we?
Yes, let's move on.
Let's move to the scene, and just to set it up, Scotty, he thinks Madeline commits suicide, and his heart is broken, so he goes into a mental hospital, and then when he gets out of the mental hospital, searches in vain for Madeline, even though she's dead. But dreams do come true, and lo and behold, he sees Madeline, the woman who's been searching for, which we find out is really Judy. He meets her at the Empire Hotel. He tries to remake her into Madeline. And then there's a scene where Judy realizes this ain't going to work. If he's going to know I'm Madeline, I'm going to be implicated in a crime. So she sits down and writes Scotty a note saying she's got to leave. But as she writes the note, we see a flashback to
what happened,
what has actually happened, which was Gavin Elster's plot to kill his wife, and Judy was posing as Madeline, and so it's all spelled out to us, and therefore the audience, and I'm going to include you in the audience at this point, FT. We know what the hell the plot was, that it was all set up, and Judy really is Madeline, but Scotty, the protagonist, does not know this.
Right.
So the audience is ahead of
Hitchcock suspense. Yes.
Yes. That's the notion of suspense when the audience can anticipate danger that the character, which puts the audience in a position of in horror movies, get out, because we know what's happening while the dumb characters are like just blundering around, dancing and drinking beer while the guy with the axe is right outside the window. What do you?
Did that happen to you as a kid?
Again, we'll get into that story another time.
Another story later on in the show.
FT, serious question here.
Yes.
Was that a good choice to put that flashback scene in there, or would it have been better not to have that flashback so the ending is a surprise? Just, we find out when Scotty puts it together, which is the way it would happen in a traditional mystery. Was it a good idea or a bad idea?
Good idea.
Good idea. Okay, why?
Yeah. It clarified things. But
that obviously clarified things. But again, that's not the question. Should they have been clarified at that point of the movie with 30 minutes to go? Or should...
No, I think the flashback worked because that's such a harried scene at the end. He's saying so many things. There's so many emotions going on there that, because he figured it out. Who cares at that point? I mean, he figured it out when he saw the brooch.
Yes.
Right.
Well, again...
he figured out something.
He figured it out there. So again, if you imagine the film without that flashback, you would have seen him looking knowingly at the brooch. The audience would have said, holy shit, and started to put it together. And then again, when he's dragging her up the stairs, he's already laying out the crime for her and saying, didn't he do, getting her to confirm it.
This was as far as I could get. But you went on. You remember? The necklace, Madeline. That was the slip. I remembered the necklace.
Let me go.
Now we're going up the tower, Madeline.
You can't. You're afraid.
Now we'll see. We'll see. This is my second chance. But you knew that day that I wouldn't be able to follow you, didn't you? Who was up there when you got up there? Elster and his wife?
Yes.
Yes, and she was the one who died. The real wife, not you. You were the copy. You were the counterfeit, weren't you? Was she dead or alive when you...
Daddy's broken her neck.
He'd broken her neck. Wasn't taking any chances, was he? So when you got up there, he pushed her off the tower. But it was you that screamed. Why did you scream?
I wanted to stop it, Scotty. I ran up to stop it.
You wanted to stop it. Why did you scream? Since you tricked me so well up to then, you played the wife very well, Judy. He made you over, didn't he? He made you over just like I made you over, only better. Not only the clothes and the hair, but the looks and the manner and the words. And those beautiful phony trances, and you jumped into the bay, didn't you? I'll bet you're a wonderful swimmer, aren't you? Aren't you? Aren't you?
So it could have all played that way. I'm with you, FT. I think the film would have come out of balance because I think what is already an expository scene when he's dragging her up the stairs would have had to carry even more weight and become even more expository.
Longer, too, yes.
But Hitchcock agonized over this. So the producers wanted the flashback out. Hitchcock had added it was not the writer's idea to have the flashback. The writers were fighting him. And the film got released to theaters, and Hitchcock broke and recalled all the prints to take out that scene.
Wait. So the first release had the flashback?
No, right. It had the flashback, and Hitchcock finally everybody was against the producers, the writers. Everybody's you're crazy. Okay, Hitch, we know you're the master of suspense, but this ruins the movie. There's no surprise now, and the audience knows 30 minutes before why is the audience even going to want to keep watching this movie? And Hitchcock gave in, called back all the prints to excise that scene, and then changed his mind again and said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it my way."
Absolutely right. Yeah. You know what the only trouble with that whole business was? The letter. See, that's what I thought was a little bit weird. When she was writing the letter.
Yeah, no, the letter is just a mechanical prefix to go into her mind. Why she's writing the letter about why she's got to leave him, and then we see her recalling why she's leaving him, which is because she was involved in a murder.
Right, but he could have done that because he reveals the gray dress there. Which is interesting. When she goes into the closet to pack, to leave, there's the dress. I mean, so technically she got the brooch and the dress, as well as cash.
Yes. But again, the brilliance of this film, I wonder how many viewers, upon first viewing, when she goes into the closet and pushes back that gray suit, sees on that and say, holy shit, that is Madeline's gray dress. It goes by pretty fast.
But you got to watch it, though, because everybody knows it's the same person because it's Kim Novak. Who also must have studied method acting to do such a good job as Madeline, and then end up being from Jersey, or no, not from Jersey. Were you tricked?
I think I think they did a great job. The way they did the makeup was just right. I think the first time I saw it, and again, I'm willing to say you're smarter than I am, FT, but I believe the first time I saw it, I didn't immediately, when he sees her on the street in Union Square, when he sees Judy in that green outfit, I didn't immediately say, wait, that's Kim Novak again. No, I did not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I sat there and said they really did a
but
nice
again,
job.
FT, no,
excuse
sorry,
me.
Excuse me, FT.
Excuse you.
I want to compliment, I complimented you, but now I have to say, I did not assume she was the same person because unlike you, I'm not a racist who thinks all white people look the same.
You are a racist for even thinking that way. By the way, you just got hoisted there on a petard.
Go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I think they did a great job of trying. I mean, with the spit curls and the whole hairstyle being different, hair color, et cetera, and tackier clothing and the way she spoke and all that. They did a good job trying, but it's a hard thing to pull off. I mean, it really is.
Yes.
I mean, I had a suspicion the first time I don't remember the first time I saw it,
But again, to this very problem, hats off to Hitchcock. I think
pays off.
for me as a potential director, had I been asked to direct this script, I would have been troubled and saying, how am I going to get this to the audience? Is immediately it's the same act. Should I use two actresses?
You could.
Well, that might have been interesting if you had twins.
Right, the Hussey twins.
That might have been an interesting way to do it. But again, even that doesn't work because again, the reality is Judy
is the same
Madeline.
person. Yeah. No, right.
So FT, you constantly complain that I don't ever do what you want to do. I don't ever talk about what you want to talk about. And I'd like to put an end to that now because in part one, we started talking about the ending. And the idea, did Scotty, was it a happy ending? Did Scotty reach his objective or not? And I said, we're out of time. And you're like, well, I want to make sure I promised you we would come back to that. And so I wanted to say that I wanted to honor that promise, but we are unfortunately out of time.
Out of time.
No. So let's talk about the ending, but first let's debate this with hopefully not losing our tempers about did Scott. You were arguing that in part one that Scotty got his objective at the end, and I do not. Spoiler alert: I do not feel that way. But I'm going to give you, as a gentleman, I will give you the floor first. You have 20 seconds, sir.
Well, look at there's always the film noir aspect to this, that whatever you gain, you lose something, and you've lost something to gain it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the context that we were talking about in part one was when you brought up the notions of power and freedom.
Okay.
That's what I was saying, that for me, Scotty did that. He benefited. You're
right.
As well as he lost, but his benefits are substantial. One of them was as a detective, he discovered and solved the crime. Remember, he's a former detective. I mean, that's power there, man. He got that power.
Okay, stop.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's break this down. In a sense, yes.
Yes.
In a sense, and so you're often literal with me, and I'm being very literal with you, and yes, but no, because after all, his assignment was to, I know. Assignment by Gavin Elster, he did not succeed in that one, but yes, he went beyond his original assignment to solve what was really
which
going
was
on.
his original job, which he was forced to retire. He was a detective.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Yes.
No, that's what I meant.
Not the Elster job. Right.
Not the Elster job. No. Yes. Right. Yeah. No. Okay. Absolutely.
All right. So let's break it down. Because you're saying he benefits in some ways, he loses in some ways.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to that Midge first scene where he's like, I'm just gonna. Midge is like, what are you going to do? He's like, well, I'm a man of independent means. It definitely was not set up that this was a man who was crushed by no longer being able to pursue his career. It didn't really seem to be his big goal. But I know the next thing I think you want to talk about is this fear, this vertigo. He does say he wants to get over that.
Well, I have more to say.
Okay.
There's a respect to which he got power. In some sense, he got the truth. He got some revenge, whether he liked it or not. I mean, he was so in conflict. Did he love Judy at the end? I mean, he loved her for a while, but the revenge was, she never told him, when early on, she betrayed him twice. It was a double betrayal. She never revealed she was Judy when she was Madeline, and she never revealed that, when, the opposite, tell him later, you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a double,
Yes.
But anyhow.
I'm with you.
Freedom. Now, here's where he really gained. He stands out there at the end, and he's free of the vertigo. He's not holding on to anything. He's, and there's a Kierkegaard aspect here, which, I know when he's gazing down.
Yes.
There's a lot going on there, about a choice and the freedom of choice. When you stand on a precipice like that, Kierkegaard again, you can either look out or you can look down. Now, once you look down, two things can happen, right? Either you're afraid that you're going to fall, or you're going to be weirdly drawn to follow.
Okay.
Right? And so part of me thinks this ending, there's a bit of, to use Kierkegaard's term, anxiety there.
Wait, I just want to be clear for the audience. You're saying Kierkegaard. You want, sorry, is that the correct pronunciation?
Something like Kierkegaard. Something like that.
Okay.
Not Kierkegaard, that
okay.
I do.
Right. That's what they say in New Jersey. In Jersey.
Well, that's what I used to always say until,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So can I?
He's free of vertigo.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to respond to that?
Yeah. No, I would like to respond. And before I respond, I'd like to say that I usually go out on a limb with a lot of theories, which you reject. I'm going to reject your theories as follows. The things you bring up, and
there's more, but if you want to hear,
okay,
but go
are not the character. If you were sketching out, these are not the character's true. His obsession is getting this woman. That's his big objective, and. He does not end up with that woman. He's complicit in that woman dying.
No,
in fact, yeah. So he's lost her. He's lost her for the second time, and so he does not get his objective. And I'm going to even push your thing that he wants to get over his vertigo, which again. Didn't really seem like such a big deal the way it was portrayed in Midge's apartment. He's like, I'll get over it. Watch. I'll go up on the step stool and I look up. But I don't, maybe he got over his vertigo, but I felt that ending, which we talked about in part one, the way it was represented, was not the music, was not meant to say this was a happy ending for Scotty.
No.
And in fact, the one of the writers, do I have it here? Give me a second here.
Yeah,
Sam Teller, the screenwriter for this film, when he was giving an interview about vertigo late in life, had forgot about the whole ending. There was another ending on this film, which we're going to discuss in a little bit. But Sam Teller said his recollection, which was my take on the film without seeing it, was Scotty was going to end up back in the asylum, insane permanently, and that was Sam Taylor's thought, and the way he wrote it, that this again, when Madeline died, he was institutionalized. Now to have it happen again, he was going to be permanently insane.
Sure, maybe. But there's no evidence for that. I mean, just because it happened before doesn't mean it has to happen again. I mean, you could argue that,
Right, well, I'll tell you.
But see, I'm arguing that he's, on the other hand, he's standing there looking down, which is a dangerous thing to do if you're really vertiginous. Remember, he's he's really guilty about having not been able to save the cop. He's really guilty about not having to be able to save Madeline, right?
Okay.
So when he's standing there, he is free of the guilt. He's free of his delusions too.
Okay.
I mean, that's my reading of it.
Okay, we're gonna move on, and I accept that for the moment, and I think I argued the opposite in part one, but I will accept that for the moment he is free of vertigo. I do not accept and reject categorically that he is free of guilt, and as evidence, just look at his face. That I've seen people again.
Stop it.
FT. I worked as an assistant at UCSF psychology department. I've seen the look on people's face when they become free of vertigo. It's a look of joy. It's not the look on Scotty's face. Let us move on now. Again, we've thrown out the arguments. Let the audience can judge for themselves. Let's not grind this into the ground.
In other words, don't let me grind it into the ground.
No, I think we both said our piece.
All right, anyhow, whatever. Yeah, we both said our piece. Yes. No, I said it. That's it. You reject it. He went to the nut house because the guy said so. Okay, whatever.
My point was, I know what your point was. You said my point is that Scotty did not get his objective. You're arguing that Scotty got his objective.
He got some of it. It's an ambiguous ending. He got some of it. He didn't get it all because obviously he lost a lot. But he got something. He got more than she got. That's for sure. He had some benefits here. I'm not saying it was 100%. Why did you go and say, not a happy ending? Of course it's not a happy ending. Is it like a sad ending? No, he didn't go jumping after her, which is a possibility if he was that depressed.
Sorry, FT. I don't think I wouldn't call this ending ambiguous, but it is as you said, it's neither, or you didn't say it, but it's neither a happy ending nor a tragic ending. Going to the critic what Robin Wood said about Vertigo, I think is really a good quote. He said, quote, the ending of Vertigo, triumph and tragedy are indistinguishably fused.
Triumph and
tragedy are indistinguishably fused. And I think that's what you're arguing and what we've been arguing. You see the triumph of his triumph over Vertigo, his triumph over solving the case. I'm seeing the tragedy of losing the object of his love.
No, right.
And so as you, it's not that the ending is ambiguous. It's that it somehow fuses, as you say, there's some benefit, there's some deficits. Triumph and tragedy are indistinguishably fused. Can we leave it at that?
Sure.
Okay.
And again, no, just to one point, but it's noir-like in that sense. Like in A Lonely Place, Bogey's, situation there. You know, Bogey ends up losing, Gloria Graham, although he's acquitted of the murder. He's out of suspicion, although he shows murderous tendencies. There's triumph and there's tragedy there.
Yes.
So that's what I was
indistinguishably fused. Yes, and
well, we can distinguish them, but yes, they're fused for sure. Yes,
okay,
connected. Yeah.
I would say I can't. I was kind of arguing I couldn't distinguish them. I saw them fused into a tragic ending. You saw it fused into I think overall you find the ending tragic, or are you finding it a happy?
Both. Both. No.
Indistinguishably fused. Boom. Let's end it there. And let's go to the deleted ending of the film, because we've been teasing that and that. And
yes.
And let's not be regarded as podcast
teasers.
Yeah.
Cheap podcast teasers.
So there was an additional scene, a coda on this film that was in the original release that was subsequently cut from the film, and FT, you're saying you're totally unaware of it.
Yes, I am. And you say the original release. This is the release that had the no flashback. This tacked on.
Sorry, just good. If you were confused, the audience might be confused. Hitchcock called back the release prints because he wanted to cut out the flashback, and then decided, no, fuck it, I'm going to leave it in. I'm going to do it my way, and the prints went back out, but all the prints had an ending which subsequently got cut off the film
further on.
Yeah, and the film we know today does not have that ending, and I think we'll argue about whether it's good or bad that it was cut off.
Right. Yeah. Hit me.
Okay. So. And again, this is where I said before, it's the time is a flat circle. The recurrences, basically, we pick, the ending was the scene, Scotty looking down at the abyss. Judy has just plunged to her death.
Yes.
Cut to, just like at the beginning of the film, cut to Midge's apartment.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's lit. It's a nighttime lit, at least. And again, I don't know the color. The color correction I saw in the print I saw of it. It's dim, and Midge is listening to a table radio, and she's no longer in yellow. Now she's in a white robe, listening to the table radio broadcast about, bulletin. Gavin Elster has been apprehended in Switzerland.
Oh.
Gavin Elster has been apprehended in Switzerland. Swiss authorities say they're going to cooperate with extradition, and he will be extradited back to the United States for trial. And then it goes into, in other stories, today at UC, and then it goes into a light
in other news, blah, blah, blah.
No, but it's a light story about a UC frat house prank where they bring a cow into a classroom or whatever, and she cuts it off midway through that story and gets up and goes to Scotty, who's standing at the windows. And unlike the first scene where he's jovial and balancing canes, he's grim, he's mute, and then they cut to the Universal Studios title, end of film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So the implication there is that he might go nuts. Again, he might end up being hospitalized. Maybe.
Yeah. Definitely.
But you don't know. You don't know. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Did it look good? Did it look good? When you said that you were saying something about color correction.
I'm sure it would have been good. Again, it hasn't gone through the restoration process that the film went through. Right. I'm sure it would have looked exactly as good as any other scene in Midge's apartment.
And there's no dialogue.
Other than what's coming off the radio, no.
Oh, wow. So it's just radio? She's there.
Yeah.
So she's taking care of him again. But she's in a robe, you said?
Yes. A white robe. A white robe.
What's he in?
I don't remember. I didn't catch my eye.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Because he wears a suit the entire time, right?
Yeah, I don't think he was in a suit, but I think he's dressed in kind of a dark outfit.
So,
question, FT, better?
Yes.
Do you like that? Do you like the film better with that ending?
It's the kind of thing I'd have to see. I wasn't happy with the ending, as it is, with him just standing there. I felt there should have been something,
right?
More, even if it just pulled back. It should have been something. I don't know. I'd have to see it, and it'd be fun to watch.
Okay. It is out there on YouTube, folks, if you want to find that.
And do they just have I'm sorry to interrupt. Did they just put the ending out, or I like to see it in context. I like to cut it on, put it in,
yes,
and look at it. Look at the last, 10 minutes.
Okay. It's easy to imagine, but you could with your editing skills, FT, could cut it together in your laboratory. I would have to say it's much better without that ending. I think. Part of the reason they had to have that ending, it was back then, the MPAA, was really big, that the criminals always had to pay, right? The criminals couldn't get away with things. So I think a lot of the reason for doing that was not...
Oh, the Gavin.
Yeah, was not that it was such a great ending, but they felt it was necessary. I think the power of this film now, and I think what made it, well, I don't know if they put it back out without that ending, but the ending as it is now is so abrupt. She falls, we cut to him, and then boom, the title's on there.
Right.
As you said, it kind of feels too abrupt, but on the other hand, it's like daring in its abruptness, and it just leaves the audience sitting there saying, as Chris Walken would say, how would Chris Walken say, wow?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me amend what I'm saying, Ken.
Okay.
Because absolutely not have the Gavin being arrested business.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was just watching I was just imagining the visuals of them quietly, maybe with not the apprehension of Gavin Elster. Absolutely not. I'm sorry if I implied that that was a possibility. No, but I did like the closure and the sonata form.
Interesting.
The circle.
Oh, I see what you're right. So in your
without
mind,
the radio shit,
right. Yeah. So you were free to imagine that because of my So yeah, that would have been wow. I'm with you that
dub something else in.
No. I think just that scene. Could and please go watch the deleted scene, which is out there on YouTube. If so, Madeline falls, cut to Scotty on the precipice, and then cut to the scene in Midge's apartment. Light it so it's somber and dark,
right?
And I don't know. It would have been tough for an audience at that time, but she just
Mozart,
is staring, and he. It's silent. She looks at him. He's just standing there, doesn't even acknowledge her, which is what happens in the scene. Doesn't even turn to her.
Maybe, right.
I don't know.
But she turns the radio off. So what you could do is what happened in the asylum scene is have the Mozart on or some other music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lightly playing.
Oh, but that, I don't know how that would work for you because the implication there, FT, would be that he is once
on
again,
his way back.
And is in shock and speechless, which would go against your preferred reading that he is bathed in triumph and victory at the end of this.
What are you doing this to me? This is your reductionism. Once again, we're going to use the word. You're going to reduce me to that. I can imagine some music, but anyhow, I can imagine something there.
Why don't we quit while I'm ahead and wrap up this episode, the end of this 2-part episode of on Alfred Hitchcock's film Vertigo. This was a big one, FT.
Yes, it was.
It was fun. It was fun to get through it again. Every time I watch this film, I get something else out of it. Hopefully, every time listeners listen to this podcast over and over again, they'll get something else out of it. But if you do get tired of this one, fear not, because in 2 weeks you'll be able to get a new episode of They Shoot Films. Make sure you're subscribed so you get every episode as soon as they drop. I'm going to say goodnight to my friend and yours, the great FT Kosempa. I'm going to say bye-bye, FT.
I'm going to say one thing. I want to quit while I'm behind.
All right,
Nobody
FT,
ever says that.
Wise choice. If you want to keep your job, good job. Wise
Thanks,
choice.
buddy.
I'll see you next time right here at They Shoot Films.
You know it. Next time, buddy.
They Shoot Films is a production of Film Symposium West, produced by Anne-Marie De Palma, studio announcer Roy Blumenfeld.